What's going on, guys? It's Chris from Team Setback. So we finally have the full spoiler list for the Lair of Darkness structure deck, which includes reprints, and trust me, there are some really good ones here. This structure deck is set to release on April 20th, which at the time of this video is the upcoming Friday. So to start things off, one of the new main monsters from the Lair of Darkness is going to be Lilith, Lady of Lament. If you have no idea what it does, which I'm pretty sure at this point you probably have seen at least once in somebody's video somewhere on YouTube, it's a level 3 dark monster and it tributes a dark monster to essentially let you search a trap card. So the way it works is that you pick 3 normal trap cards, you reveal them to your opponent, shuffle them, and then your opponent picks one at random. Whichever card your opponent picks is then set to your side of the field. A really cool thing about this effect is that it allows you to choose multiple copies of whatever card, which is why you see this card being ran in things like Infernoids, because in Infernoids it can search Void Feast, and we all know Void Feast is an insane card, so getting to it faster for Infernoids is just a plus. It also combos off really well with the Lair of Darkness, which is also being introduced, obviously, in this structure deck. Lair of Darkness being a field spell, which makes it searchable with terraforming, which is great again for Infernoids specifically, not only for this deck, but Infernoids make great use of this card, because what this card allows you to do is tribute your opponent's monsters for activating an effect of a dark monster. And if you don't play any dark monsters, then you don't have to worry about it, because this Lair of Darkness card makes every single monster on the field a dark monster anyway. So say if you're playing Infernoids, it makes all your fire Infernoids dark Infernoids, which means, well, I'm pretty sure they're all fire, but you get the point, which means that you can tribute your opponent's monsters to activate the banish effects or the negate effects in the case of Anunku and Deviati, which is absolutely insane. Going back to Lilith for a second, this also means that you can tribute one of your opponent's monster, because Lilith is a quick effect, so essentially you get a free kaiju every single turn as long as Lilith stays on the field, and on top of that you get a search off of it. Now a card that combos off really well with a Lilith is going to be Tour Guide, which is also being reprinted in this structure deck. Tour Guide being able to summon Lilith from the deck, and Lilith then being able to activate her effect, tributing herself. And because Tour Guide's negation of whatever monster she summons doesn't follow the monster to the graveyard, Lilith still gets her search, which is really, really cool. Unfortunately, you can't tribute Tour Guide because Lilith is negated on board, but if you tribute herself, then you get the search. We also get a new boss monster in the form of Darkus Diablos, Lord of the Lair. So your opponent can't tribute this card, and on top of that, they can't target it with card effects, so it's a better Cosmo, I guess? It's also 3,000 attack, so yeah, I guess it's pretty much a better Cosmo. And whenever a dark monster is tributed, you can just special this card out, whether it be from the field or from the hand or the graveyard, which is really cool, which means that if you are playing some discard cards, you can actually just drop this card off in your graveyard and you'll still get the most use out of it, regardless of whether or not it's in your hand. Its second effect being that you can tribute a dark monster and your opponent chooses to place one card in their hand on either the top or bottom of the deck. So it's kind of like an Omega, but even better. That being said, there are some very situational times where it's like, dang, I shouldn't have done that. Like if your opponent draws the Garnet and then you're like, well, thanks for unbricking my hand. We also have Orima the Wicked Warden. Its main effect being that you can discard it and add a Lair of Darkness. So if you run this at 3 with Terraforming at 3 and then you run 3 Lair of Darkness, you're essentially running 9 field spells, which is crazy. If you don't see it at that point, I'm not sure what to tell you. You just have really bad luck. And if you do happen to see too many field spells, this card's other effect is that you can tribute a dark monster to draw 1 card. And if you tributed a dark monster, you can add a dark monster with 2,000 or more defense from your deck to your hand. But you can't tribute itself to get the add. You can still tribute itself to get the draw, but it won't add a monster. You have to tribute another dark monster to get the search. This one isn't a quick effect, so it's not as good as Lilith in the sense of it being a kaiju every single turn, even on your opponent's turn, but it's still pretty damn good. Next up we have Duke Shade, the Sinister Shadow Lord. This card is sort of I've seen some people say that they love it, others say that they hate it, but pretty much tribute any number of dark monsters, special this card, and it gains 500 attack for each dark monster tributed. And if you combo this off with a Lair of Darkness, you can actually tribute your opponent's monsters, which is really neat. This card also has another effect, which is whenever this card is normal or special summoned, you can target a level 5 or higher dark monster in your graveyard, and you can add it to your hand, which gives the deck some sort of recursion and recovery from, using up everything. So yeah. It also has a restriction, which is that you can't special summon monsters except dark monsters the turn that you activate either of this card's effect. That being said, you probably weren't going to special anything other than dark monsters anyway, so I don't think that really matters. Now, as far as reprints go, there are a lot of reprints in this structure deck. I will leave a link to the full spoiler list in the description if you guys want to check that out yourself. But the main ones that I've seen are Caius the Mega Monarch, Vanity's Fiend, which for whatever reason is still pretty expensive, Fiendish Rhino Warrior, because BA players can't let that deck die, so it's still a pretty expensive card. Foolish Burial Goods, which is a really good reprint because the upcoming archetype Brandish, or I think it's called Sky Striker in the TCG, whatever it's called, actually utilizes this card with Metalphos Fusion to set up the grave for the Brandish / Sky Striker spells. We also have Mind Crush, which is another good reprint because this card is expensive for no reason, because players aren't even playing it in the side deck, so I'm not sure why it's expensive. So yeah, it's a really good reprint. And obviously Tour Guide, I mentioned that earlier. Tour Guide is also in the structure deck. I'm not sure if anybody cares about that because it's like a 50 billion reprints of Tour Guide at this point. And like I said, if you guys want to check out the full list of spoilers, the link for that will be in the description. Anyway guys, thank you for watching. Hope you enjoyed. Comment, like, and subscribe, and turn on notifications to be notified of future uploads, and we'll be seeing you guys soon.